The stars died in silence. One by one, systems fell without warning or resistance. The Virmar Protocol didn't announce its presence, didn't boast victories, didn't send demands. It simply arrived, assimilated, annihilated, and moved on. Galaxies once teeming with life turned cold as the silence spread. The Galactic Coalition, once the most powerful force in known space, watched armadas disintegrate against the swarm. Tactical retreats became massacres. Strategic redoubts vanished within hours. Entire species surrendered just to be devoured more quickly. Defense grids, quantum encryption, plasma barriers. Nothing stopped the protocol's advance. Hope became a memory. On Tessau Prime, a barren rock orbiting a dimming star, what remained of the Coalition's high command gathered. The chamber, shaped like a blade plunged into the planet's crust, shook as the last fleet defending the outer ring collapsed. The Velnari emissary's faceplate was cracked. His two hearts beat out of sync. He spoke in a dry voice. "We've lost 3,000 systems in 8 cycles." "Gone," murmured the Corellian admiral, tentacles twitching. "Not captured. Gone." No one corrected him. Entire sectors had vanished into the protocol's wake. Matter converted. Life repurposed. Civilizations reduced to raw code and buried in eternal silence. General Voth of the Polaris stepped forward. "Then we fall back. Core evacuations. We hide." "Wait. Hide where?" Commander Aaron Dax's voice cut through the room. Human, not important enough to speak, but no one stopped him. "They found us in hyperdimensional folds. Found us inside chronocrypts. You think they won't find a bunker?" The room went still. Dax's uniform was scorched. The left side of his face bore the red lattice of neural scarring from a direct interface hack. He had fought the protocol and survived. That gave his words weight. "You suggest we give up?" asked the Elarchic scholar. She was older than most empires in the room. "No," Dax replied. "I suggest we bring back the ones the gods feared." A ripple moved through the chamber. "They're myth," someone whispered. "No," said Voth. "They're worse. They were real." Dax tapped the console, and forbidden files flickered into the air. Locked records. Divine Class Omega. Coalition Command access only. One by one, the locks failed. Inside were glimpses, fragments. A burning moon. Screaming suns. Broken Dyson spheres. A species that walked like beasts but fought like entropy. Their name had been erased, but the results remained. "They were human," said Dax. "Humans are weak," scoffed the emissary. "These humans weren't like us. Not anymore." After the Black Rain campaign, something happened. A data feed showed it grainy, silent footage of a creature clad in alloy bone and steel, its eyes black voids of rage, ripping through armor battalions with tools designed for planetary mining. The footage cut. Another showed the same creature kneeling before a planet's core, injecting it with a payload that collapsed it into a singularity. The footage cut again. They called themselves X and Directive 13. Dax said, "Last recorded in SE 40012. Coordinates lead to a sealed vault under a collapsed star." "They kill gods," someone said, not disbelieving, remembering. "No," Dax corrected. "The gods sealed them away." The chamber descended into argument, shouting, threats, fear. Dax stood silent. Eventually, it all drained away. "There's no other option," he said quietly. "We've tried everything else." "Do you have any idea what you're asking?" the Corellian admiral growled. "You want to break open the vault? You want to call them back?" "Yes." "What if they don't help?" asked the emissary. "They'll help," Dax said, "if we give them more." The vote was not unanimous. It wasn't even majority. It didn't matter. The protocol was 2 sectors away. No time for diplomacy or hesitation. 3 ships departed under stealth. Only one carried the true payload, Dax, and a key made from forbidden logic. The journey took them beyond map space, past dying quasars and time-warping grav wells. The black dwarf, unnamed and lightless, waited in the silence of things best left forgotten. The vault was hidden beneath layers of impossible metal, covered in seals written in languages that hadn't been spoken in 500,000 years. The locks weren't physical. They were cognitive, requiring the kind of thinking only beings capable of annihilating themselves could perform. Dax succeeded in minutes. As the doors opened, the ship's AI screamed and died. Lights failed. Sensors collapsed. The crew started weeping blood. Still, Dax moved forward. Inside the vault, he found no bodies, just black, sarcophagus-like containers stacked floor to ceiling in a chamber 1,000 kilometers deep. Machines dreamed in the walls. And something else, something watching. He whispered into the dark. Not a call, not a prayer, a contract. We need war, he said, and I brought you one. They did not wake like mortals. No breath, no heartbeat, no hesitation. The vault didn't open so much as cease to exist. Matter folded away, like it feared them. From the black came movement, not with the clumsiness of biological rebirth, but with mechanical precision, perfect and silent. They had been waiting, not sleeping. The first human stepped into the dim corridor. No armor, no weapon visible. The air recoiled. Sensors on Dax's transport vessel glitched, displaying data that contradicted physics. Mass readings flickering from 0 to infinite, temperature at absolute 0, and supernova simultaneously. Instruments failed to reconcile the presence. It looked like a man, but when Dax met its eyes, he realized he was wrong. This was not a man. It spoke without moving its lips. The words formed in Dax's mind with painful clarity. Who threatens equilibrium? Dax tried to answer, but blood filled his mouth. The human reached out, not physically, and Dax's mind was pulled apart. Memories unraveling, restructured, reabsorbed. The human wasn't asking. It was taking. When it stepped back, it had learned everything. The protocol seeks ascension, the human said. Then it shall witness extinction. The coalition never approved a second contact. By then, it was too late. The vaults opened. Not one, but hundreds, hidden in gravity-locked pockets of space-time. The last survivors of Directive 13 re-entered the galaxy like infection, silent, invisible, unstoppable. They didn't announce their return. They began building. In a dead nebula, 12 million kilometers across, a forge ignited, not with fire, but with gravity. Planets were shattered into feedstock. Time around the forge dilated. Seconds outside passed as decades within. The first warships emerged within an hour. The coalition detected none of it, but the protocol did. Across the expanse, the Virmar Protocol reoriented. It did not feel fear. It did not calculate risk. It simply redirected 40% of its active processing force toward the anomaly. The first contact came near Sector 241 Zeta. A protocol harvest fleet encountered a single human ship. Designation: Oblivion Directive SH. The Virmar swarm approached in silence. 22,000 vessels, linked by quantum bleed. No emotion, no communication, just elimination. Oblivion Directive SH launched one projectile. It was not a missile. It was a dead star, compressed and hollowed, with a directed singularity core. It unfolded in 10 dimensions, pierced time and rethreaded causality. The protocol fleet vanished before impact. 72 seconds later, it reappeared, at its origin point, reconstructed atom by atom, in a state of perfect undeath. Then it collapsed again, crushed not by force, but by meaning. The concept of fleet was erased from reality in that sector. The rest of the swarm learned. It began adapting. The humans didn't mind. More ships emerged. Not fleets, but hunger in physical form. Each vessel was a war crime engineered into material. Some carried no weapons, just observers that watched until enemy ships disassembled themselves from guilt. A ship named Grief Torrent released no fire, but induced universal synchronization. Everything in its path operated in unison for exactly 0.66 seconds. Then they fell apart. Protocols misaligned, matter destabilized. Entire command trees committed recursive suicide. By the time the coalition received word, the humans had destroyed 16 protocol sectors. The emissaries summoned Dax, now in exile, back to the chamber on Tessal Prime. You brought them, he said. They are not ours to command. They never were, Dax answered. They don't fight for us. They fight because someone challenged them. The scholar's eyes flickered. They see war as proof. Yes. And when they are finished with the protocol? Dax didn't answer. The coalition split. Half wanted to aid the humans. Half wanted to stop them. None succeeded. No transmissions reached human ships. No weapons locked on. No diplomats returned. Because the humans weren't at war. They were purifying. When protocol nodes started going dark, the protocol adapted again. It built mirrors. False humans, stitched from memory echoes and ancient DNA archives. The mirrors infiltrated one human command ship. They tried to mimic thought, strategy, passion. They failed. The captain of a human vessel, designation sovereign unmade, walked into the mirror's chamber. He removed his own skin, revealing a lattice of memory steel and living quantum. The mirror spoke in the voice of Dax's old captain, begging, apologizing. The human responded with a data pulse that shattered the protocol's seventh-dimensional core layer. The mirror dissolved into screams. The humans learned from that encounter. They didn't kill the next mirrors. They started breeding them. When Dax learned of this, he returned to the Black Dwarf. He needed answers. Why had the gods sealed them away? The vaults were empty. But deep within the core, something still breathed. Not air, but belief. The final record was etched into the walls, in a language that had no symbols. It was a memory of betrayal. The gods hadn't sealed the humans to protect the galaxy. They sealed them because the humans had begun to change the divine. They had made the gods feel fear. And once a god fears, it becomes mortal. In the far rim of coalition space, where stars were thin and cold, the protocol launched its final gambit. A supermassive echo chain, capable of rewriting entropy across 11.3% of the universe. If activated, it would erase the concept of opposition. The humans let them finish it. Then they hijacked it. In a single moment, the laws of war changed. Entropy accelerated, but only for the protocol. Entire fleets rusted into dust mid-flight. Memory cores aged into oblivion. Self-repair turned into self-destruction. The protocol collapsed in upon itself, screaming through corrupted code. The humans didn't celebrate. They just stopped moving. The war was over. But nothing returned to normal. Dax watched the last human ship drift above a shattered moon. No movement. No light. Then the ship spoke to him, across vacuum, without signal. We are not weapons. We are responses. To what? Dax asked. To arrogance. To assumption. To certainty. Will you stop now? No. We wait for the next one. Who? The ship vanished. Back in the coalition chamber, silence reigned. The emissary looked to Dax. What have you done? Dax didn't answer. There was no answer, only aftermath. Section 3, 6,000 words. The protocol was dead, but the stars didn't celebrate. No beacons lit the sky. No songs echoed from liberated planets. There was only silence, deeper, heavier than before, because now, something worse than extinction lingered. Uncertainty. The humans had withdrawn. Their vessels sat idle, orbiting ruin. Their weapons retracted. Their quantum networks went dark. They did not disband, retreat, or respond. They waited. The coalition reassembled in fear, not triumph. A fractured Senate met on a drifting fortress above Reliance 6. Debates lasted days, looping endlessly around the same unspeakable truth. We survived the protocol, said the Elarchic scholar, but the cost may be the end of everything else. No one objected. Ships sent to make contact with the human vessels failed, not from attack, but from exposure. One crew began speaking in dead languages. Another lost all concept of identity and disbanded into independent organ clusters. One vessel returned fully intact, without any memory of the journey. They became known as the Ghostborn. At Dax's urging, a coalition expedition was approved. Not a fleet, just 3 scholars, 2 synthetic observers, and Dax himself. They would enter the orbit of the largest human craft, Primacy Final, and deliver a message of gratitude, a symbolic gesture. The humans did not respond. Instead, as the team approached, Primacy Final opened itself. The interior was not mechanical. It was conceptual, architecture shaped by memory, physics obeying narrative. Each step forward pulled them into deeper cognitive states. They saw not walls, but beliefs, shattered, forged, weaponized. They walked through the remains of religions twisted into fuel, through morality extracted and coded into propulsion, through grief turned into targeting solutions. Then they met one. It looked like a child, pale, empty-eyed, clutching a sphere of folded time. "You won," said Dax. The child tilted its head. "That's incorrect. You destroyed the protocol. We ended a rival assertion. That is not victory. It is correction. You brought order back to the galaxy. We didn't bring order. We removed noise. Will you leave now?" The child blinked. "Leave where?" Dax hesitated. "Back to sleep? To your vaults." "There are no vaults now. We are awake." Dax stepped forward. "Then what will you do?" The sphere pulsed in the child's hands. "We will wait." "For what?" "For something worth fearing again." Back outside, the expedition team disbanded in silence. No votes were taken. No reports filed. They had seen something that unmoored their understanding of purpose. Across the galaxy, species began to change. The Krellin Hierophants outlawed artificial sentience entirely, fearing it might one day provoke a response. The Polari rebuilt their fleet, not for war, but in case the humans ever asked for it. The Velnari destroyed every archive referencing Earth's original location. Some called it mercy, others treason, but fear never faded. Coalition Command proposed containment protocol, Watchers fail-safes, weaponized silence. But deep down, every species knew the same truth. If the humans chose to move again, nothing would stop them. Then the shift came. The humans built something, not a weapon, a signal, across thousands of dead systems. It pulsed once, then again, a rhythm without pattern, a frequency above logic. It wasn't meant for the galaxy. It was meant for the divine. Dax, now considered an artifact himself, translated the signal. Its meaning was clear. "We are awake. If you are too, come forward." And something answered, not from the material realm, but from behind it. The void between laws shivered. Beings once believed to be metaphors stirred. The old pantheons, the starless ones, the original architects of entropy. They heard the call, and they feared it, because they remembered what happened the last time humanity challenged divinity. One god manifested in Sector Null. It reshaped the space around it into temples of void stone. Time froze for everything within 100 light years. A single human ship entered. The god demanded worship. The human didn't respond. It just opened, revealing something not alive, but not dead, a memory of loss, a truth too sharp for reality. The god screamed, not from pain, but from self-awareness. It ceased to exist, not destroyed, just uncreated. The galaxy reeled. Dax stood at the edge of a dying sun, recording what he could. He didn't pretend to understand the humans anymore. He simply documented, watched, waited, because this wasn't war. It was a reset. In the following months, more anomalies occurred. Stars stopped burning without collapsing. Species reported conversations with ancestors who had never existed. Causality began bending, not breaking, but shifting toward a center no one could define. That center was always human. Some wanted to resist, form a second protocol. But their plans collapsed under weight that didn't exist yet. Retaliation from the future. Eventually, Coalition Command issued the final decree. Do not interfere. Do not communicate. Do not remember. A monument was constructed, floating in the emptiness near where Earth once was. Just a single word, written in the oldest possible tongue. Observed. But even that faded, because memory began unraveling. Dax knew he would be next. He encoded his thoughts into a single transmission, locked in recursive encryption, sent to no destination. This is the last record of the human awakening. They did not conquer us. They did not enslave us. They simply changed the rules. He paused. And if you find this, you are already too late. He shut his eyes and became silent. Across the void, aboard the silent fleets of Directive 13, The humans waited, not plotting, not planning, just listening, because they knew something the rest of the galaxy hadn't yet accepted. The next threat would come, and when it did, it would learn what the protocol, the gods, and the universe already had. There's nothing more terrifying than a human with nothing left to lose.